gig economy today. But most are competing alone against platforms they don't control, with policies that weren't built for them. For 15 years, edition by edition, Connected Africa became more than a summit, where policy, innovation, scale, and partnership meet, where startups met investors and scaled across borders. Now you arrive at a defining moment. Connected Africa Summit 2026. Uniting Africa's innovation for an inclusive digital market. Not just a slogan, a statement of intent. Because innovation without inclusion is incomplete. And growth without unity is unsustainable. For policymakers designing frameworks for 1 billion Africans. For startups ready to scale beyond their borders. For investors hunting Africa's next breakthrough. For anyone who believes Africa's digital future should be shaped by Africans. This isn't networking. This is nation building. One connection at a time. Connected Africa Summit 2026, 27th to 30th April, Nairobi.
JSC schedules interviews for Supreme Court judge position following the death of Justice Mahmoud Ibrahim.
Parliament questions the benefits of setting up a Kenyan mission at the Vatican and directs ministry to present a cost-benefit analysis for the project.
On the project and also on the cabinet, we will feature a former cabinet minister who rose from the judiciary all the way to become a full minister under the Mboya administration. All those details are coming up in just a bit. But first, let's cross over to the other studio and see what's coming up in the world of business.
And in business, I'll tell you what tech experts from the African continent meeting here in Nairobi want the governments to do to unlock billions of US dollars in annual revenue.
That's right, all that coming up. And also remember, in sports, Kogalo, one day on, is still celebrating that 1-0 victory over Ingwe. All that coming up on tonight's broadcast.
But first, the highlights.
To us, health is not a cost. It is an investment.
Charity begins at home.
President Ruto challenges African governments to reinvent their health systems to transform service delivery. Justice be our shield and defender.
Regarding Gachagua asked the court to render his impeachment null and void.
Plus,
the hunt for truth.
Public inquest into the Hillside fire continues as new details emerge. It's a cold evening in Nairobi. We want to warmly welcome you to this live broadcast. I am Mboya.
I am Muchuma. Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odinga. Talk to us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, at KBC Digital, on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And right, Tom?
Yeah, that's right. We'll sample some of your thoughts at the tail end of this live broadcast. But let's open this coverage with our story. Number one, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is tonight has urged the court, to declare his impeachment unconstitutional.
Through his legal team, Gachagua argued that his impeachment was anchored on a non-existent constitutional provision and demanded compensation for lost earnings.
Now, Ruth Mboya is the one who's opening our broadcast with that story from the court.
Flanked by family and political allies, Rigathi Gachagua sat in court for hours as his legal team poked holes into the October 2024 impeachment.
The Senate cannot legally, constitutionally bypass the committee. It is the committee that accords an opportunity to the person to be impeached to be fully heard, not the plenary.
Gachagua, through his battery of lawyers, sought to have his removal as deputy president set aside for flouting the constitution.
The danger of allowing malicious compliance to go unredressed is that it injects an irredeemable legitimacy gap in constitutional processes.
Gachagua questioned the speed at which the impeachment was carried out, alleging that the outcome had been predetermined.
Why is the president's reference to the people of Murang'a as shareholders in his government acceptable political rhetoric? And a similar reference to the people of Nandi and Kericho, because those are the areas mentioned in the motion, by his deputy, an impeachable offense.
Gachagua's defense team questioned the neutrality of speakers, Amason Kingi and Moses Wetangula, alleging that the two had backed the ground for his impeachment before presiding over the process.
The president, in consulting IBC on that night, was not doing so as a matter of constitutional requirement, but was doing so as a matter of abundant caution. He was being careful. He didn't require to do so. Those are the points they make.
10 days that the Senate imposed on itself was not, did not have any legal basis, so that it was not justifiable for the Senate to impose itself on a 10-day period to conclude the business in a very rushed manner.
Justices Eric Ogola, Anthony Murima, and Dr. Freda Mugambi also add that Gachagua's ouster was politically motivated, with his lawyers alleging that lawmakers in both the National Assembly and the Senate were influenced through bribery to support his removal.
Which way, Kenya? What is the state of our morality in terms of our constitution?
Gachagua wants to be compensated, and the election of Professor Kithure Kindiki declared unconstitutional. The highlighting of submissions continues on May 7th. Mounting up a spirited fight, the defense team informed the three-judge bench of the High Court that there were multiplicity and duplicity of charges by the National Assembly and the Senate, which was a sham and could not sustain an impeachment process. Ruth Mboya reporting from Milimani's Law Court.
From the corridors of justice to World Health Summit, President William Ruto has called for reinvention of Africa's health systems to transform the delivery of healthcare across the continent.
Now, addressing the World Health Summit regional meeting at the Aga Khan University in Nairobi, Kenya, the president urged governments to ensure sustainable health funding, regretting that Africa currently imports over 90% of its medical products.
Kamche Menza compiled this report.
Over 2,000 delegates from 40 countries gathered in Nairobi for the summit, where the president emphasized the need to boost domestic funding and reduce reliance on external aid and supply chains.
It challenges us to design practical pathways that translate into better outcomes for health in our continent. Africa today stands at a critical intersection defined by stark disparities and immense opportunity.
President Ruto also called for increased investment in local manufacturing, genomics, and biotechnology, urging African nations to leverage innovation, digital growth, and a youthful population to become producers of health solutions.
Our responsibility, therefore, is not merely to recognize Africa's potential, but to fully realize it through coordinated investments, policy alignment, and institutional strengthening that can deliver impact at scale and speed.
Speakers at the summit called for stronger investment in local manufacturing, innovation, and resilient health systems across the continent.
Health is not a privilege, it is a right. And it is a prerequisite for everything else we are trying to build. We cannot achieve SDG 2, zero hunger, without healthy communities.
Investment in health is not a charity. It is insurance for our shared future. And that investment is not measured only in US dollars or sterling pounds, but in trust, in knowledge, in systems, in people, and in innovation.
In this meeting, we will indeed identify those problems that we have always identified, but we will also generate solutions in this meeting. But beyond generating solutions, we will make commitments about the actions that we need to take in order to solve those problems.
Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
On to that teacher strike story. Junior secondary school, or JSS if you like, teachers in different parts of the country are calling on government to address their employment concerns, demanding permanent and pensionable employment terms.
The teachers on Monday staged peaceful demonstrations as schools reopened for the second term.
Kasichana Macha puts that story in perspective.
In Meru County, junior secondary school teachers serving under internship terms today took to the streets of Meru town in peaceful demonstrations, voicing their frustrations over what they described as prolonged uncertainty and unfair labor conditions.
The JES teachers who are under internships, they are at their reproductive level. Our watoto hawana hata medical cover. They are having young children. What is protecting these children?
The teachers of Meru must be confirmed as permanent and pensioners. Failure to that, the message is clear that we are going to stay in the streets and not in class.
Similar scenes were witnessed in Embu County as the teachers threatened to paralyze learning in all schools if the government does not heed to their demand.
Kuhudumia wanafunzi wa junior katika mkataba wa kandarasi. Hatutaki kandarasi, we are qualified teachers, tunataka kuajiriwa.
We are requesting the government of the day that since already the court of appeal has only confirmed that internship in Kenya is illegal, we are requesting to confirm the intern teachers in the Kenya.
JSS teachers in Kenyaga County expressing frustration with the implementation of the Social Health Authority scheme.
Confirm the 44,000 teachers. We need to be confirmed. Police officers wameongezwa mshahara. Wameongezwa. Kama askari wameongezwa mshahara na hata wabunge wameongezwa mshahara. Then walimu kuajiriwa si kitu ngumu kwa serikali.
Na tunataka autonomy pia. Na SHA pia ishughulikiwe.
Similar sentiments shared by the counterparts in Kakamega County.
Tupewe insurance ambayo ina work for teachers so that tuweze kufunza, tuweze kuwa shuleni.
Inapata allocation yake kutoka kwa serikali. Primary inapata pesa yake. Hii ifanyike shule kivyake ili iwe autonomous. Iran shule iwe na principal na deputy.
The JSS teachers argue that they're performing the same duties as their colleagues employed on permanent and pensionable terms and should therefore be accorded the same treatment. Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Well, it's 11 minutes past the top of the hour. You're watching Prime Edition coming up on this broadcast.
TVET Skills Transfer plus Politics Monday.
And also we'll be giving you a roundup on what's happening across the counties in the country.
Hello and welcome to Nairobi. I invite you to be part of something that truly matters. The Connected Africa Summit 2026, to be held in Nairobi from the 27th to 30th April 2026.
This is a very important unifying platform for the continent to bring leadership in technology, policymakers, professionals to have conversations on issues that affect the continent.
Connected Africa Summit 2026 is more than an event. It is where ideas meet opportunity.
Together, we will explore emerging technologies, deepen collaboration, and unlock solutions that drive inclusive growth.
Let's get connected in Connected Africa Summit 2026. Meet you there.
100 million Africans are in the gig economy today. But most are competing alone against platforms they don't control, with policies that weren't built for them. For 15 years, edition by edition, Connected Africa became more than a summit, where policy, innovation, scale, and partnership meet, where startups met investors and scaled across borders. Now we arrive at a defining moment. Connected Africa Summit 2026. Uniting Africa's innovation for an inclusive digital market. Not just a slogan, a statement of intent. Because innovation without inclusion is incomplete. And growth without unity is unsustainable. For policymakers designing frameworks for 1 billion Africans. For startups ready to scale beyond their borders. For investors hunting Africa's next breakthrough. For anyone who believes Africa's digital future should be shaped by Africans. This isn't networking. This is nation building. One connection at a time. Connected Africa Summit 2026, 27th to 30th April, Nairobi.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition. Our socials
at KBC Digital, at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And thank you for your feedback. Dennis Njoro watching from Kiambu, Awadi Victor watching from Trans Nzoia.
And IK is also watching from Eldoret. Keep them coming. We want to know where you're watching us from. And if you like, you can make some comments on some of the stories that we are covering for you on this live broadcast. Now, this is the second part of Prime Edition. Kenya can only achieve its vision of being a first world country by adopting a raft of measures, including fully embracing science and technology through funding of research and innovation, transfer of technology, and commercialization of research and innovation as well.
Speaking during a stakeholders meeting on Monday ahead of the Science, Technology, Research and Innovation Week, the Principal Secretary for Science, Research and Innovation, Professor Shaukat Abdul Razak, noted that Kenya is on the right trajectory, but more collaboration from industry stakeholders is needed.
Here's that report.
It's barely a month before the Science, Technology, Research and Innovation Week, which is set for 18th to 22nd May 2026, hosted at the Kenya International Convention Center, bringing on board over 5,000 stakeholders in the industry to showcase Kenya's scientific excellence.
To be able to have discussions on how science can be able to impact positively in the society, to be able to showcase the entire pipeline of science, research and innovation, looking at how innovation could be able to spur growth and be able to create more job opportunities.
At a press briefing on Monday, Principal Secretary for Science, Research and Innovation, Professor Shaukat Abdul Razak, says Kenya is on the right track to achieving its vision of being a first world country, but the dream faces numerous challenges, among them underfunding and inadequate researches that hinders its realization.
We must be able to demonstrate the impact. We're looking at mechanism of funding this ecosystem. We're looking at the mechanism of transferring of technology. We're looking at mechanism of ensuring that there is commercialization of innovation and research output as well.
It was at this forum that researchers were also urged not to hold back the discoveries in the laboratories, but rather disseminate the findings to the public for greater understanding of the work being done.
And it's very important that we look for ways and means of how we can be able to break it down so that people can really appreciate.
The week will be commemorated under the theme Igniting Innovation, Bridging Science and the Society for Sustainable Development. Kasicha Namasha, Prime Edition.
The Judicial Service Commission, JSC of Kenya, has scheduled interviews for one Supreme Court judge position on Tuesday, April 28th and Wednesday 29th, 2026, to fill the vacancy left by the death of Justice Mohammed Ibrahim.
Now, the 5 candidates shortlisted include Justice Katwa Kigen, Lady Justice Anne Makori, Justice Joseph Sergon, Justice Francis Tuyot, and Justice Mohammed Warsame.
Here is that report.
6 candidates applied for the position of Judge of the Apex Court, out of which 5 sailed through the shortlisting stage. They are Anne Washeke Kiratu Makori and Justices Joseph Kipchumba Kigen Katwa, Joseph Kiplagat Sergon, Francis Kipruto Toyot, and Abdullahi Mohammed Warsame. Makori, Kigen and Sergon will appear before the panel on Tuesday and the other 2 on Wednesday. Lady Justice Makori holds a Master of Arts in Leadership from Pan-African Christian University, Bachelor of Laws, University of Nairobi, and a postgraduate diploma in law from Kenya School of Law. She was admitted to the role of advocate in the year 1991. She headed the Independent Police Oversight Authority IPOA for 6 years between the year 2018 and the year 2024. Justice Kigen from the Court of Appeal holds a Master and a Bachelor of Laws both from the University of Nairobi and a postgraduate diploma in law from the Kenya School of Law. He was admitted to the role of advocates in the year 1991 and gained national and international prominence during Kenya's post-election crisis litigation when he was part of the legal team defending William Ruto and Joshua Sang at the International Criminal Court ICC in The Hague. Justice Dr. Sergon, a judge of the High Court, holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Law, a Masters of Laws, a Bachelor of Laws degrees, all from the University of Nairobi, and postgraduate diploma in law from Kenya School of Law. Justice Tuyot and Abdullahi Warsame will face the panel on Wednesday, 29th April. Michael Mondiga for Prime Edition.
On to Russia Probe, a story that we highlighted for you at the beginning of the broadcast, Tom.
That's right, a public inquest into the Hillside Russia Academy dormitory fire in Nyeri County that claimed the lives of 21 learners on September the 5th, 2024, has heard that one of the 5 CCTV cameras in the school compound, believe it or not, had been tampered with.
The witness, who is a CCTV technician, testified that he had installed 5 cameras 5 days before the fire broke out and left them in working condition.
Give us on Maina now reports.
Officers told me to wait at the office.
An inquest receiving to resolve the Hillside Russia Academy dormitory fire tragedy that killed 21 learners resumed Monday in Nyeri County.
Okay, how many did it affect?
CCTV technician James Githinji telling senior resident magistrate Mary Gitoma that one of 5 CCTV cameras he had been contracted to install were not functioning at the time the fire tragedy struck Hillside and Ndarasha Academy on September 5th, 2024. Githinji recalling that by the time he left the school compound on August 30th, 2024, all the 5 cameras and the digital video recorder were functioning. According to Githinji, 5 responders alleged the CCTV camera had been interfered with by the fire engine as it made its way to the scene of the inferno. Meanwhile, the Office of Director of Public Prosecution has asked the court to issue summons to immediate former Energy, Petroleum and Regulatory Authority Director General Daniel Bargoria to testify in the matter. The inquest, which seeks to piece together the series of events that took place at the school on the day of the tragedy, will continue on Tuesday, April 28, 2026. Give us in mind, Prime Edition.
On to politics and healthcare now.
Mombasa County Governor Abdul Samad Nasir has urged leaders to shift focus to performance and service delivery.
Nasir argues that Kenyans should evaluate leadership based on the tangible outcomes in sectors such as health, education and employment rather than identity politics.
Anburu compiled this report.
Speaking at Mboya Nyali constituency during the groundbreaking of the proposed 250 million shillings Raila Odinga Level 4 hospital, Mombasa County Governor Abdul Samad Nasir and Homa Bay County Governor, who is also Orange Democratic Movement chairperson Gladys Wanga, reinforced the party's stance that its participation in the next government is non-negotiable. They added that their partnerships will be based on mutual agreements rather than speculative arrangements.
Mmesema ikifika mwaka 2027 mambo ni mangapi? Mambo ni mangapi? Either we are going to be in government or we are forming government. The legacy we can leave for Raila Amolo Odinga is to ensure that ODM is in government.
ODM is not going back to the opposition. We will be in government, we will be the government, or we will be part of the coalition that will form the government. Na tukiingia yale mazungumzo itakuwa ni kama equal partners.
In Migori County, former Chief Justice David Maraga has affirmed his commitment to fight corruption and strengthen the full implementation of the Constitution. He was speaking during the opening of United Green Movement Party offices, where he also called on the youth to register in large numbers as voters in a bid to change the country's fortunes.
We want everybody to understand that there is nobody above the law. I will, when elected president, be the first one to obey the law, and I will require everybody to obey the law. With that, we will deal with the issue of impunity.
Elsewhere, the People's Renaissance Movement Party's Secretary General Sarabai Emmanuel has condemned the increasing cases of hooliganism in the country, calling on the security authorities to take immediate action and ensure law and order is maintained. His remarks come as the party welcomed aspirants from other political parties who have defected as it continues to expand its national presence.
We really want to condemn and urge the security agents to take measures, and urgent measures for that matter, to arrest perpetrators of these acts of goonism, because we do not want to walk to an election that is uncertain, especially having witnessed what happened in 2008.
And in Makutano area, Trans Nzoia County, Kenya's permanent representative to UN Habitat, Susanna Humicha, has reiterated that the country needs more women in leadership, hence the need for Kenyans to elect more women in the 2027 general elections.
Ukienda kule Embu, kuna mama anaitwa Cecil Mbarire, ameleta maendeleo Embu County. Wakulima wa huko hawalipi, wanalipwa on time. Ukienda hapa Nakuru, kuna nemseke yangu hapo anaitwa Susan Kihika, ameleta maendeleo. Ile hospitali ilikuwa imekufa ya PGH, sasa ametengeneza. Sasa mimi nawauliza watu wa Trans Nzoia, kama mnataka maendeleo, si mjaribu mama.
For Prime Edition, I am Anburu.
Onto a story compiled by Gishuki Washira, the National Defense and Foreign Relations Committee is questioning the economic benefits of setting up a standalone diplomatic mission in the Vatican.
Now, the committee, while vetting the ambassadorial nominee for Vatican City, Julius Mbijiwe, directed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to furnish the House with a cost-benefit analysis for opening the non-commercial posting at a time when diplomatic missions were facing an acute shortage in resources.
Hi, Julius Mbijiwe.
Meru County Chief of Staff Dr. Julius Mbijiwe, now nominated to represent Kenya as ambassador to the Vatican Holy See, appeared before the National Assembly Defense and Foreign Relations Committee to defend his suitability.
Currently, I'm serving as the Chief of Staff Meru County, and I handle quite a number of the staff, both at the office of the governor and across the departments. And there has been issues, but it has exposed me more on the matter's governance.
MPs questioned the value the former MCA will add in the diplomatic world and the economic benefit of establishing a standalone diplomatic mission in the Vatican, a non-commercial posting.
You've never served anywhere in a diplomatic position. So now that you're very green, save for your faith that you profess, you know, what other advantage or what other opportunities do you envisage to, you know, to leverage and be of benefit to our country?
I feel I'm sweetened for this because, as I indicated earlier, I serve in the union. And I recall, for example, during the teacher strike of 2012, I did participate to some small levels at the National Executive Committee meeting to discuss about the issues of the strike and what the teachers wanted. And they did give me a very big exposure to be able to get into negotiations, which I feel and I'm ready to be able to apply it in this field of diplomacy.
The nominee called on the committee to support the new diplomatic mission since the Catholic Church was supporting the education and health sectors. Despite the lack of experience in diplomacy, Dr. Julius Mbijiwe is confident that his posting in Vatican will be of immense value to Kenya. Visho Kiwashira, reporting from Parliament, Nairobi.
$100 million Africans are in the gig economy today. But most are competing alone against platforms they don't control, with policies that weren't built for them. For 15 years, edition by edition, Connected Africa became more than a summit, where policy, innovation, scale, and partnership meet, where startups met investors and scaled across borders. Now you arrive at a defining moment. Connected Africa Summit 2026. Uniting Africa's innovation for an inclusive digital market. Not just a slogan, a statement of intent. Because innovation without inclusion is incomplete. And growth without unity is unsustainable. For policymakers designing frameworks for 1 billion Africans. For startups ready to scale beyond their borders. For investors hunting Africa's next breakthrough. For anyone who believes Africa's digital future should be shaped by Africans. This isn't networking. This is nation building. One connection at a time. Connected Africa Summit 2026, 27th to 30th April, Nairobi.
Welcome to part 3 of Prime Edition tonight.
Before we shift to business, our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Onto a story we teased for you at the beginning of the broadcast. The government is calling on Kenyan technical vocational education and training TVET institutions to seize the opportunity and bid for government projects, including the affordable housing being undertaken across the country.
That's right. TVET Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Mboya says that the institutions should be able to deliver on the projects in partnership with the contractors. That story was put together by Tilio Marco.
Speaking in Nairobi during the Embedding Skills Development in Infrastructure Project Design and Delivery bilateral meeting organized by German Agency for International Cooperation, TVET Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Mboya expressed confidence that the Kenyan technical institutions have the capacity to deliver on the affordable housing projects.
The labor within our institutions who are training in the various disciplines should be able to deliver these projects with, of course, a bit of partnership with the contractors.
Dr. Mboya eyed the institutions to embrace dual training to acquire labor market skills, saying the German Agency for International Cooperation has already trained over 10,000 students from various technical institutions in the country.
GIZ has been very active in infrastructure in those institutions. They have been very active in dual training in those institutions. And then the government now has offered a space for affordable housing construction in those institutions.
Our first main project was the industrial mechatronics project. And the mode of training that we are using is the dual training model. The Kiambu National Polytechnic was the first institution to train in that model.
Institutions involved in the skills training partnership with GIZ include Kiambu National Polytechnic, Kabete National Polytechnic, Nairobi National Polytechnic, Kinyanjui Technical Training Institute, and Thika Training Institute. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
Take us to the counties, Tom.
Okay, as the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, continuous voter registration, exercise comes to a close, the Kikuyu Council of Elders in Kiambu County calling upon the youth to seize the rare opportunity and turn out in large numbers to register as voters to exercise their democratic rights.
This and more stories make our county news roundup.
Elder Engineer Peter Mundinia noted that young people, as the majority of the country's population, should exercise their right to vote and not be used as weapons of chaos during the election period.
We call upon all the others, whatever they are, to know that this country can only be governed through their voice, and their voice can only come through the vote.
Elsewhere, women leaders in Trans Nzoia have been lauded for demonstrating excellent performance and experience in national leadership.
Kwa hivyo mama hana kabila. Mtu wa kuunganisha hii Trans Nzoia ni mama. Na hakuna maendeleo tunaweza pata kama hatuna umoja. Kwanza tuungane, kisha tulete maendeleo.
Separately, Kenyan authors have raised alarm over a rising wave of book piracy, saying that the illegal sharing of novels online and through PDF platforms is rapidly eroding their income and stifling creativity in the literary industry.
Those who photocopy books from their customers, please, when you do that, you are killing the writing industry, you are killing the authors, because when somebody writes, expect to get something out of that book.
Meanwhile, Meru Governor Reverend Isaac Muchuma has issued a stern warning to camel herders, declaring Meru County a no-go zone for camels and ordering them to vacate the region immediately, arguing that their presence has repeatedly resulted in widespread destruction of farms.
Kwa hivyo ngamia ambao wanaregarega na kurandaranda na kuharibu mimea ya watu wa Meru, hatutakubali. Mimi sitakubali kama gavana wa Meru, nitang'ang'ana na wewe, tutawafinya, tutatumia vikosi vya usalama na tutahakikisha wa Meru wako na security.
Finally, savings and credit cooperative societies have strongly opposed the Sacco Societies Amendment Bill 2025, currently under review in the Senate of Kenya.
Hizo mergers ama acquisitions ambazo zitakuwa zinatengenezwa, hakutakuwa tofauti ya hizo merger na benki. Na tunajua uzuri wa Sacco ni kwamba Sacco inasaidia wananchi katika expansion ya biashara zao.
The bill seeks to merge small SACCOs with deposits below 100 million shillings with larger institutions, a proposal the SACCOs now say could lead to the loss of jobs across the country. Joy Naomi, reporting for Prime Edition.
It's now time for business. Good evening. My name is Trevor Ngendo. The Connected Africa Summit 2026 kicked off in Nairobi with a call on governments in Africa to accelerate digital connectivity and cybersecurity to empower Africans tap into the global digital economy. ICT and Digital Economy Principal Secretary Engineer John Tanui said that investments in generative AI alone could unlock over $100 billion annually in additional economic value in Africa. Ben Troy has the details.
Day one at the Connected Africa Summit in Nairobi.
The 15th edition of the Connected Africa Summit that is being held right behind me brings about 1,500 key players in the digital and tech industry. Africa, a key highlight this year, is on youth and digital innovation. Africa has the bragging rights when it comes to the youth. We get it right in the digital innovation, then we might be on our way to outmuscle the global north in the tech world.
The ICT and the Digital Economy Principal Secretary rallied African countries to increase investment in broadband infrastructure to open up more opportunities for job and wealth creation.
Governments are digitizing public services. Startups are commanding global investment, and the demand for high-speed connectivity is growing each day. The scale of deployment of generative AI alone, it could unlock between $61 billion and also $103 billion in additional economic value.
Engineer Tanui warned that fragmented markets and uneven infrastructure are holding back Africa's digital potential.
Despite these massive strides, there are still communities where fiber has not reached.
Without interoperability, we risk fragmentations, and without trust, transformation cannot endure.
The forum underscored the need for governments to build trust, inclusive and sovereign digital systems while leveraging Africa's young workforce to drive innovation.
Africa possesses the world's youngest workforce, with over 60% of our population under the age of 25. We must build a future-ready workforce, foster localized innovation, guaranteeing inclusion so that no demographic section of our population is left behind.
The Connected Africa Summit 2026 brings together policy and tech leaders to shape a unified digital ecosystem across the continent. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troy.
Staying on that ICT beat, and all units under the Affordable Housing Project are being linked to government fiber as part of new infrastructure upgrades. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo says that internet connection that will be extended to nearby schools and informal businesses is part of plans to support enhanced job and wealth creation.
Affordable housing units are being connected to high-speed government internet. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo says the government will provide the internet at a subsidized cost as it seeks to bridge the digital divide in Kenya and lower internet costs.
Right now, they're connected by Safaricom through Huawei and partners, and each house will probably be paying now about 800 shillings per month. But once we get government fiber optic into every room, we should be able to bring the cost of that internet to about 300 shillings a month.
Kabogo says the enhanced internet connection will support digital economy and create job opportunities.
We're connecting 53,000 government facilities, and we're making sure that internet gets to Kenyans affordable at an affordable rate.
The program will also see learning institutions and informal businesses near the affordable housing projects connected.
Government owns most of the undersea cable, so we want to make sure that fiber rolls into all homesteads.
He was speaking during the launch of the Mukuru Digital Classroom at the new Mukuru Primary School, where the institution was equipped with modern ICT infrastructure, including 20 new laptops, and is supported by the broader Mukuru ICT Hub.
We want to make sure that Africa is connected and we can share infrastructure, we can share ideas, so that we do not have to reinvent the wheel, each country to do its own thing.
Benson Rioba, reporting for Prime Edition.
Are you ready for the next big thing in tech? Well, we'll spotlight Kenya's brightest young minds, game-changing startups, and breakthrough technology that are shaping our future. From AI and robotics to sustainable futures, we bring you the stories behind the scenes. KBC Channel 1. Remember, tech starts here.
Jina! Haki watoto wa siku hizi wakiwa nasumbua. Usikose kuona Gundu KBC Channel 1 every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Ujionee hivi vituko vya watoto wa siku hizi wanaosumbua wazazi na mengine mengi. Keep it Gundu. Jina!
Gundu wakita wengine wata.
Welcome back. We continue with business. A cruise ship has called on the port of Mombasa has docked in the port of Mombasa, bringing in 1,019 tourists who will be at various tourist sites in Kenya for 2 days. Most of the tourists are retirees drawn by Kenya's calm landscapes and opportunities for both relaxation and adventure. Take a look.
Cruise tourism increased 140% in 2025, with the Kenya Tourism Board projecting sustained growth this year. The Kenya Tourism Board says additional 6 cruise ships are expected to call on the port of Mombasa in the first half of this year. Early on Monday, MV Azamara docked at the port, bringing in 630 passengers and 389 crew. The vessel arrived from the Port Victoria in Seychelles and will proceed to Zanzibar.
Huko imechukua siku 2 kufika Mombasa, ilifika leo saa 12 asubuhi. Saa 8 usiku ilikuwa ifike saa 12, lakini kulitokea dharura ikafika saa 8 usiku. Imekuja na abiria 630 wa kutoka mataifa mbalimbali.
Those who were at hand to receive the tourists aboard the vessel highlighted the need for the government to relax some charges and levies on cruise tourists to make Kenya more price competitive and attractive.
If a tourist pays once, he doesn't pay any other time. If he comes there, he docks, he pay once, then he doesn't have to pay any time. Because if you do that, then we'll enable them to come out to go to other attraction center so that at least their currencies can be used here in our county of Mombasa and any other areas in the jurisdiction of our country.
They underscored the need to shore up security to attract more cruise liners.
Fikiria la muhimu sana ni usalama, kwa sababu hao watu kuna wengine hata hawataki kutoka kwa meli, hawataki kelele.
They also challenged Kenyan youth to enroll for maritime courses to tap growing cruise ship opportunities.
Kitu cha kufanya kama serikali ni kubidiisha pengine wafanye Kenya kuwa ndo yaitwa port call hub, yani wageni wanaingilia hapa na wanatokea hapa. Ndo kidogo nchi itafaidika zaidi kwa mikakati hiyo.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Financing in Africa must be targeted and results-driven to close funding gaps and avoid duplication. Agriculture Secretary of Administration Rashid Kator warns that climate change, market volatility and rising food import bills are intensifying the need for resilient and inclusive investment.
To achieve meaningful impact, I urge participants to engage these pillars with a strong focus on implementation, accountability, and measurable achievements, ensuring that discussions translate into tangible financing commitments and transformative outcomes.
Credit alone is no longer enough.
The challenges facing agri-food systems, from climate volatility to shifting global markets, demands a practical, collaborative, and sustainable financial architecture.
And that's where we put a cap in our business news tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Coming up next is Bernard Okum with sports. My name is Trevor Ngendo. Have a lovely night.
Hello and welcome to Nairobi. I invite you to be part of something that truly matters. The Connected Africa Summit 2026, to be held in Nairobi from the 27th to 30th April 2026.
This is a very important unifying platform for the continent to bring leadership in technology, policymakers, professionals to have conversations on issues that affect the continent.
Connected Africa Summit 2026 is more than an event. It is where ideas meet opportunity.
Together, we will explore emerging technologies, deepen collaboration, and unlock solutions that drive inclusive growth.
Let's get connected in Connected Africa Summit 2026. Meet you there.
And thank you so much for staying with us. It is time for us to look at what's happening in the world of sports. I'm Bernard Okumu. Now, Gor Mahia FC is confident of winning the 2025-2026 Football Kenya Federation Premier League following their 1-0 win over title rivals FC Leopards, opening a 6-point lead with 5 matches to go. The club on Monday was handed 1 million from club patron Eliud Owalo following Sunday's victory against FC. For their hard-earned victory against title challengers and soon rivals FC Leopards on Sunday, club patron Eliud Owalo featured the club with 1 million shillings, challenging the squad to win the domestic title and emulated the 1987 CAF Confederations Cup winning squad.
We did request you to win the league for us this time round so that we take part in the CAF Champions League. And if you do that, you shall have made us proud, so that we get back to the CAF Champions League and replicate the feat that the 1987 team did.
However, before then, Gor will have to navigate their remaining 4 fixtures with utmost caution, beginning with the 4th place Kakamega Homeboys tie this weekend.
And I want to advise you to take one game at a time. Don't think of the 5 matches. Just think of the next game. Like our next game is in Kakamega, isn't it? Think of winning that one. Yeah? Plan for it and win it. Just the same way you plan for the derby and won it, then after that, plan for the next game and win that one.
Meanwhile, the club also received a donation of 75,000 shillings from kit sponsors Plascon, while Mashemeji Derby goal scorer Alfo Nyango was awarded 25,000 shillings for his display. With less than 5 matches to go, Gor leads the grid with 61 points, while FC Leopards is placed second with 55 points. As defending champions, Kenya Police are ranked third, distant with 13 points adrift. And definitely Kogalo are adamant of winning their 22nd title. Well, that would be known at the conclusion of the 5 matches, which is unpredictable title race running. And to martial arts, where Kenyan fighters dominated the 8th edition of the Anza Mixed Martial Arts held on Sunday in Nairobi. Fighters were drawn from Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and Italy, with some representing multiple gyms, including Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu Academy, Mombasa Sharks, Gama Rwanda, Kigali BJJ, Guardian Uganda, Hardcore Gym, TriStar Gym in Nairobi, Shadow Strikers, and Kenya Wrestling Team. Kenya's Samuel Lurian of Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu Academy forced into submission his opponent, Rwanda's Jonathan Ntakirutimana, to win the night's main event, the featherweight clash. In the welterweight co-main event, Italy's Lorenzo Cardanelli, representing Kigali, edged out Kenya's Amos Ebosso by submission in a thrilling rematch. Shadrack Otieno secured a blistering lightweight victory with a 32nd rear naked choke over Aman Niyegena. Meanwhile, the next leg of the Anza MMA MMA set to be held on June 6th at the Broadwalk Mall here in Nairobi. The event is expected to feature some of the country's top fighters, including Osama Ali Abad, Kevin Odongo, George Itumo, and rising prospect Al Hassan Mosala. And Mohit Medirata won the opening leg of the PGK Equator Tour, the second edition, played at VetLab Sports Club. Mohit delivered a standard performance, according 284 to take the win in a tightly contested event. Finishing in joint second were Mutahi Kibugu and Samuel Chege, each posting a total of 287 points. They were tied with Justus Madoya, who also finished on 287. Rounding out the top 10 were Greg Snow and CJ Wangai with the 289 points, Robinson Owit and John Lejirma with 290 points, Dismas Indiza with 291, and the trio of Njoroge Kibugu, Daniel Nduva and David Wahu all finishing on 292 points. The four-day tournament attracted 52 of Kenya's top professional golfers.
It's nice to get a win. It's nice to get the monkey off my shoulder. I've been knocking on the door for some time, and finally it's opened.
And the scores, of course, are good. I've seen the top 10. We had the last player on top 10 was +4. That's a very good score comparing last year's season. And the winner was, of course, -4. That's Mohit, and of course, we can congratulate him. Otherwise, in general, the scores were good.
And finally to Bal now, where Al Ahly defeated ASC via Dakar of Senegal 76-72 to record their first victory of the Basketball Africa League Sahara Conference at the Prince Mouli Abdallah Sports Complex in Rabat, Morocco. Al Ahly's win handed the Senegalese champions a second consecutive defeat in the conference. Kevin Murphy was Al Ahly's star player, leading his side to victory with 21 points, while Atama Jok was ASC Via's star performer with 16 points. Host FUS Rabat of Morocco delivered another commanding performance to beat Nigeria's Macton Flyers 97-72 in the second game. Abdullahi Haruna and Will Perry combined for 50 points, while Tyrell Corbin and Ogobadeji Abba had 13 points each for the Nigerian side. The Basketball Africa League continues tomorrow night with a game between Tunisia's Club Africain against JCA Kings of Ivory Coast.
Hibiscus juice. I don't think Mustafa Gay is really concerned. Oh, nice score there. Bissonier does well. There's the bounce pass into the path of this man here. In it goes! Of course it does. 90 seconds left on the clock in this first quarter. Sophie goes to work. That's a wonderful little spin. Fadeaway jumper there for two. John Jordan from Houston, Texas. Former Fusta Rabat player. Oh, look at that for a steal. Andy Abate coasting through. Solo mission. And at least Samkelo Kaile was able to open that door for South African players. Big shot, 3-point lofted. That's good work from Badji. Smuggles the ball away from his opposite man. Look at that. Oh my, oh my. Give him some hibiscus juice. I don't think Mustafa Gay is really concerned. Oh, nice score there. Bissonier does well. There's the bounce pass into the path of this man here. In it goes! Of course it does. That is what you call a camera shot.
And on that note, the Basketball Africa League ongoing in Rabat, the Sahara Conference. Remember, the winners, top 4, will be joining the winners from last month's Kalahari Conference in Rwanda for the playoffs. I'm Bernardo Kumu. I take you back to Mboya and Muchuma Odim.
Thank you, Okot, for that sporty update.
On to the cabinet. Tonight on the segments, we turn our focus to a man who rose from the judiciary to the inner circles of power in President Daniel Arap Moi's administration.
Now, he rose from a lawyer to a magistrate, then leapt into politics, where he also scaled the ladder from Member of Parliament to a cabinet minister.
This is the resilience, reinvention, and political endurance story of Julius Lekakeni
Sunkuli.
Was appointed Assistant Minister in the Office of the President in charge of Internal Security and Provincial Administration. By 1991, he had been elevated to cabinet, becoming one of the most influential figures in Moi's administration. Fluent in Kalenjin and known for his efficiency, Sunkuli built a close relationship with President Moi, earning a place in his inner circle. But his tenure was not without controversy. He was accused by critics of using state machinery to outmaneuver political rivals, particularly in his rivalry with William Olentimama. His supporters, however, credited him with championing development and strengthening government presence in Kilgoris. After serving 2 terms, he lost his parliamentary seat in 2002. In 2009, President Mwai Kibaki appointed him Kenya's ambassador to China, a role he held until 2013. That same year, he resigned to contest the Narok senatorial seat, facing off against his own younger brother Andrew Sunkuli, a contest that would divide their family and ultimately cost both of them victory. Sunkuli then retreated from active elective politics to his legal roots, earning a Master of Law degree in 2018. He returned to private legal practice at Sunkuli and Company Advocates, maintaining a low political profile until 2021, when he showed signs of a political comeback. In the August 2022 general election, Sunkuli contested and won the Kilgoris parliamentary seat under Kanu Party, marking his return to parliament after 2 decades. Upon resuming active legislative duties in the National Assembly, Sunkuli participates in parliamentary committees, contributes to legislative debates, and re-engages with constituency development in Kilgoris and the wider Narok region. Jackie Wambiru, the Cabinet.
Well, Jackie's story brings us to the end of this live broadcast, and we've got some feedback from some of you. Can we read them before we...
Yeah, we do appreciate your feedback, and especially on YouTube. Quite a number of you. Let me just give acknowledgements to a few. Grace Wanjiku, Joshua Angel, Dennis Morenga, and most of you are asking, where have we been?
Where have we been?
Yeah, where has been our presence online?
Oh, online, okay, yeah. We've been away for a little bit, the usual technical hiccups in the back end, but that has been sorted out. We want to thank you for your patience. Thank you for teaching us patience.
And especially Elkana Hogeta, you're saying finally you're back online. We do appreciate your feedback. It's raining in the capital, highs of 23 degrees Celsius.
Lows of 16.
Be safe, drive
You did weather at some point, isn't it?
Oh, yes. And the weather
How would you put that? With the numbers that we have, 23 highs and lows of 16.
But we have said it, Tom.
And it's raining.
Yeah, just drive safe,
yeah?
Keep warm, and it's very important to note that the weatherman had predicted this and had told us that we'll have intense rainfall, especially over the weekend, and this is stretching up to towards the end of the week, and it has largely affected the western parts of the country, Rift Valley, and Nairobi and its environs.
Oh, wonderful. You've done so well, weather girl. You've taken me back to many days. I want to thank you so much. Remember, tomorrow we'll be back again here, same time, same place, from all of us. Those in the back end, you can't see them, the directors, the floor managers, etc., the editors who put this together. I want to thank you so much. I'm Tom Mboya. We'll see you again tomorrow.
I am Muchuma Odim, our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odingo. Good night.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to Nairobi. I invite you to be part of something that truly matters. The Connected Africa Summit 2026, to be held in Nairobi from the 27th to 30th April 2026.
It's more than an event. It is where ideas meet opportunity.